Aloha everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Z808 Apex Arena Matches. Today, I would like to share with you a couple of my wins and to kind of go over some of my strategies as well as the win conditions. I think a lot of times when we think about win conditions, it may be super clear. For example, if you run a single target box, you want to kill the other person's tank, you bring enough cleanup crew like Yusuke or Deedlit or Zarita. You can go the AoE debuff route and basically you just ban their healers and their cleansers or their gospel and you just debuff them to death. There's other strategies where you want to go AoE attack and basically you want to disable their healers as well as any way that they can kill your AoE heroes. For me, my team is not very strong. I unfortunately have very bad luck with enchants, and I bitch all the time in guild chat about how bad my enchants are. So that's the reason why I have to be a little bit more creative in the way I try to win my matches. So today I'm gonna go over 3 games, but in this one in particular is the one I'm gonna start with today is called Luna Bait, and it's very specific on how it works starting from the pick ban. So let's go take a look at the game itself, what that actually means, and what was the win condition. So the pick ban already started out really weird because the first thing they did was ban my Reen. So I'm gonna assume they had a really bad experience facing Reen because I normally never get a Reen first ban. But anyways, it was very interesting, at least to me. I banned their juggler, and I believe I pick my own juggler because whenever I can, I always do. Okay, of course, they ban Ares and Zarita next. I don't have a fraction buffer for mine. Pretty standard Landius pick. So I took care of their Reen and Listel since I have juggler, which by looking at their box right now, I'm gonna assume well, there's a couple choices that they can make, right? They can go single target or AoE as well. So since they have a lot of magic DPS, I pick Luna. I lose my... They pick Zarita. Of course, then I made sure very specific took out TRS so that I know because if Zarita have TRS, I will pretty much kill one shot any of my heroes. I pick Deedlit to get Gospel. They pick Liana. Liana's very strong as player 2. And I pick Rachel. So if you look at my picks so far, it probably seems a little odd, but if you look at what I have left, I didn't really have much DPS left, and I didn't want to go with the double tank with this specific, but it is pretty strong. Juggler can take care of himself. Luna can buff Deedlit. Deedlit Gospel can take care of Juggler, and then I also have Rachel, which with the new staff I can hit at 3 range, so facing Landius shouldn't be an issue. I lose my second tank in TRS since he looks like he's going single target, and I believe I picked Liana for the 3rd Gospel, if I remember correctly. Yes, I did. Which I actually then gave him Claret, and Claret, of course, with Landius is quite dangerous. But let's take a look at our both teams right now before we start. It's very important. So for me, I have Juggler. Juggler, I can lock down their tank. I can AoE. I have Luna. I specifically brought these skills so that I can follow up on any attack because I'm gonna have to deal with Landius. I did not bring my 3C because I didn't think that I would be going in very aggressively, especially when they have Zarita. My Rachel, super low defense, and my intel is decent. I went with, I believe I went with Summon Sky Archer because at the point when I was doing my my skill selection, I was thinking of maybe able to use it to block Zarita. But now I think about it, it's sort of a little wasted because he doesn't really have anything that can debuff me. But anyways, and none of my heroes can benefit from a character dying or whatnot. And then pretty standard with Delit. So I move forward. And this is very crucial on where I place my Luna. So if you look at this specific spot that I chose, normally when you're facing a Zarita, you would figure out, you know, if she can move, if a 6-star can move 7 plus 2, which is 9. So basically at this point, Zarita would be able to reach my Luna very easily. However, if you look at my defense, 861, plus I'm in Forest with another plus 20%. So you're looking at over 900. Plus, I am also using Bracer. So Backstab is not going to do anything. And because he's using Bandits against Flyers is not much of an advantage. So that's where the bait comes in. So let's see how effective it is. So both sides kind of move along, do our thing. I'm very mindful of Claret and her positioning. Make sure that all my units are guarded. So Zarita did her thing, and it's very obvious that he can reach me very easily. But let's keep going. I knew what I was expecting. So this is when he thought, oh wow, look at that. That's like a free kill, right? What he didn't realize, and you'll see in a second, he's like, wow, if I can take out the Luna, that's their fraction buffer for these two characters. And that's one of the biggest threat remove, because then his delay will be able to do full damage. So here I am, Sky Archer. I didn't really care. Backstab, they break, even crit, and wow, look at that. No damage. I just shrug it off. I still have 7,000, 61% life left. So that was my bait right there. So at this point, he already went. There's no way for him to get Zarita back. I get turn priority. So that's a dead Zarita if I ever seen one. But he's gonna move forward. Quick Gospel. And didn't heal, okay. But hey, that's what the 3 range ratio is for, right? Not having to worry about Zarita counter attacking. Once Zarita is dead, I mean, the game is over. 5 against 4. I have 3 healers. If you count Juggler, that's 4 healers. And a Luna, which is protects against Delit. I have Gospel for Juggler. So, I mean, there's really nothing he can do. Even Claret with fully buffed and Sea of Miracles will not do anything, as you will see towards the end of the game. But I'm just going to go ahead and let it play it out. As you can see, I decided not to rush it off. Make sure all my characters are within range of Juggler. Very careful with my positioning. I'm also well aware that since I do not have, I just want to point this out as well, that I did not use my 3C yet. His Delit technically should be able to hit any of my characters because they are not guarded. However, do keep in mind that my Luna provides a minus 30% magic damage. So I wasn't really worried about any of my characters getting sniped. And that's why he probably knew that as well, and he didn't go for it. Because he went for it, all he's going to do is basically suicide. very carefully, slowly move my characters up, holding my ground, see my opportunity, making sure that I understand. So he thought, well, maybe he could go in and now swiped right my and maybe get a one of my characters or maybe get one of my characters killed for juggler. He does have fully faction buff plus the Seer Miracles here. So let's see what happens. I move my character forward, damage, and that helps a lot because now it's not a full life, so he decided not to go for it, which gives me opportunity to continue attacking. Thorn doesn't matter. And if we just want to go back and see what happened there, so the only reason I was able to get that kill, even with the very high magic defense Landis, or decently high, is because that AoE, right? Did the AoE got rid of so that he's no longer at full life. Landis is at 84 and the Cavalry is at 66. And with Dark Reaper, even with Thorns and me taking damage because I was using Dark Reaper, I was going to heal up anyway. So that gave me the first kill on Landis. Very nice. Oh, and I debuffed something. Let me see. He heals back up. And I continue my attack. And I think like no damage. And now he attacks my juggler, which is a little late. Of course, does almost no damage. All my characters are guarded. He has no, he can't do anything. And even though he removed all my buffs, yeah, it's juggler. So one thing I decided I wanted to do here is I wanted to do more damage to him, to kind of follow up, to kind of seal the deal. I did want to lock down their Claret. I do realize that most likely, if anything, Delete will be able to kill me. But at this point, their team is so weakened, I was really afraid. So, yep, Juggler goes down, completely fine. I follow up with my Delete going in. Landis is basically much dead already. I heal back up to full. I still have 2 other characters left to finish cleanup. Luna Bait helped a lot. It worked. So even though my team and is not very strong, my enchants is average, above average. By playing a little differently and understanding my win condition, which was to kill Zarita, helped me achieve my goal. So that was I felt was a nice win there. So 2 more games to kind of go over. I want to go over this one here against Little Wolf with Juggler here. So let's take a look at what happened. And it was really weird because normally I always get my Juggler banned, but for some odd reason, a few of the games this season, people are willing to give me Juggler. And for the most part, it really felt strange for me why this person did that. The reason why I pointed out is he has a Lancer Landius, right? That's already a counter to a Horse Landius, which is the most common. And also have Arian Rod, which is another Lancer, very, very deadly. But since I'm not, he's banned my land, it's like, okay, whatever's. But I do see that have Imelda, Tiaris, Iris. Chances are I'm going to be facing MK is my guess. And any single target would be possibly Leon and Yusuke or the Rachel route. I'm going to make sure he doesn't get Reen and Listel, if I remember correctly. So, yep, Lina Ristel, because I'm going to pick my Juggler. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I was very clear on my win condition there, or my lose condition. My Ares and Luna gets banned because he's picking MK, which is fine. I pick out the two buffers that would have any potential way of killing me. Pick Zerita, so I have a fraction buff too. That's also really odd because I almost never get to pick Zerita, so it felt really good. Giving me Juggler and Zerita is like, wow, really? Okay. Anyways, moving on. He gets a little bit buff from Iris, so he can teleport to get extra damage. I make sure I survive, bring Tiaris, back and heal back up. I lose Dilit because he's a Lancer. He wanted to clean up to secure that. Yusuke is really, really strong. I remove any AoEers. Bring Licorice. No fraction buff. And he brings Leon just as I expected in the very beginning, which was fine because I'm going to have Rachel. So right now, so if you look at my team composition, it's quite interesting because he has tank, one tank buster, two follow up, or you can have, you know, he even go into MK and then also kill follow up with Leon, very long range to kill, clean up with Yusuke. That's his win the condition, right? To kill my juggler. For me is make sure my juggler survives. I have Zerita to snipe. My target is MK, of course. And then I also Licorice to be annoying, if anything. So that's AoE. Juggler has AoE, but then also have Rachel, which is 3 healers technically. Well, 1 and 2, half and half. So, you know, I was very clear. That's why I did not bring Yusuke, because I want to make sure I have enough heals. And I also have possibly either Gospel for myself or for Licorice. Okay, so let's go dive into the game. So at this point, I didn't know it was a Lancer Landius until I actually got into the game. I did check skills, nothing unusual. I inch forward. I wasn't too worried because I have fraction buff with Zerita. Gospel set myself up. Ooh, so let's take a look at that. So that, like, it's godsend, right? When your Zerita gets a Tenyo Breeze, look at that range. It's awesome. I move forward with Licorice. Also, oh, and I brought Mass Protect. So one thing with Mass Protect is that it gives immunity to healing reduction, so that kind of sort of counters Yusuke. I also have Gospel here in case if I needed, but I use her more for utility and also for the double Tenyo buff from the headpiece. So at this point, my juggler is pretty decent, but keep going. I just expected teleport MK for next turn. With that in mind, I move in. I use Miracle to take the reduced magic damage or reduced magic damage in general. He came in, did his thing, and I lived. That's the main thing. But one really bad thing was I did get a cannot receive buff, and it cannot be dispel. So that's one of the strong debuffs of MK. Also possible for stun or even with heal block. But since I had Mass Protect, I didn't have to worry about not being able to heal. So that was another reason why I brought that. So quite strong, coming in full, but he is in, yeah, didn't do enough damage. So with that in mind, I am going to heal myself back up. Back to full, nothing can kill me again. Zerita making sure as I won it. My win condition was to Q MK. I took care of that, and I was able to move back. No problem. Oh, I even got a breeze. I wanted to damage Landis just a little bit, but also to secure this entire area. So if he decides to move in, I have full advantage. There's no way for them to remove this debuff zone, which is very, very strong, I guess, especially if their Yusuke decides to move in, or even their land this decides to move in. Of course, for Leon with Chivalry doesn't really do anything outside of damaging him, but eh, shrug it off. But that I did not expect. So what happened was he actually was using the sword that gave me this DB beef up. Mobility cannot -2 cannot use guard steel. So I totally did not expect that. So due to that, but I did see that proc, so I did know that it took place. But I mean, at this point, there's not much I can do. I understand that I'm no longer on guard. That's why Yusuke is able to snipe my Zarita, because he knows that he's, you know, in order for me to remotely have a chance, he had to take care of my Zarita. But do keep in mind, look at this person's positioning, right? You have Landius here, you have your Leon, who definitely need to move a bit to do some damage, and he already moved Yusuke. So I mean, it just open up, give me a perfect position to lock him down. Now he can't do anything. He can't do enough damage to kill me, especially with that kind of damage. And yeah, that kind of seals the game basically. So Rachel comes in, cleans up, EOE. I mean, there's not much he can do. His DPS is locked down in a really bad zone. I have all four of my characters can heal, and Little Wolf gives up. So yeah, it was he played out really well. I'm not sure if my opponent was not focused or was not careful with the positioning, but I made sure that I was able to survive that initial hit by MK. I knew what my lose condition was, and also knew what my win condition was, to make sure to kill MK, and that's exactly what Zerita's for. So even after, once MK is dead, I don't really care if Zerita live or not. So that was quite a fun game. Then my last game that I want to share today is actually with against Just Today. I believe another really strong player, if I remember correctly. And I call this Shelfie. So most people would think, who Shelfie? Like, what is she doing in your box? uh, I think that's one of the biggest reaction, right? So my juggler gets banned right away. I banned their juggler. So when I was looking at their box, there's a couple things that I have to be aware of. That one, I see Gizerath, so I gotta look at, okay, so who can he buff? So one, two, not that many, three, four, five, six. So quite a bit. Almost half his team can be buffed by Gizerath. So that was something I do have to be aware of. I'm using Landius, so I definitely have to watch out for Arian Rod. I have lost so many games to Arian Rod. Also to Reen RNG. I just absolutely hate these two characters, even though I have both characters. I'm only using Reen at the moment. He also has very long legs with Ares, Claret, and also Omega could be quite a bit of threat if he can get faction buff. But let's see how Pick Ban goes. So he takes. This was very odd to me when he banned Ares and Tiaris. So I was thinking, why? Why is he scared of Tiaris? But maybe he was gonna come in with Claret, or maybe, yeah, I wasn't sure. That was a really weird ban. He picked Landius, which is, you know, the obvious choice. I banned my two heroes, Reen and Ares, as usual. And I pick a healer because I want to make sure I had a dedicated healer this time. I lost my Yusuke in Reen. So yeah, he did ban TRs because he wanted to pick Claret. So that's where I went right away. I wanted to make sure I take away TRs and maybe fish for a little luck, just for the fact that I have Liana, and if I have Zarita, I may be able to snipe their Claret. But yeah, it didn't work out like the way I planned, but that was my thought process. He brought Yusuke because, of course, if you can kill my tank, he can definitely clean up with that. I make sure I remove my biggest fear. Rachel with Landis is still very strong for tank push. He has Omega, so I was looking at his pick ban here. So the problem I gonna have to face if he has Omega is Bozo, and of course with Liana as well. So I believe that's who I banned. No, I didn't. I didn't ban Liana. I banned Iris. Oh, I just because I didn't want him to teleport him forward and kill me on his last turn. So that's why I banned it. But yeah, let's see who he picks. Because technically he can pick Liana and he can still again and Gospel very strong, but it was a real pick ban. So what I have left is AOE or single target to snipe, hopefully Claret, maybe Omega, and I have Shafaniel and Iris. Since I already have a healer, there's absolutely no reason why for me to bring her. But with Omega, would someone would like, should I even consider Shelfie? Of course I would. Because Shelfie is just cool like that. And surprisingly, no healer brings Giza off. I says, okay, that's interesting. Especially is because Shafaniel is holy, right? And I didn't know what class his Gizaroff is at that time, but it's a demon, so I guess he didn't really care. Demon, oh well. But let's see what happens here on the positioning. So he's Omega up front trying to snipe. That's why I bring my Landis up front to block. I am fully aware that his Claret would be able to reach most of my characters turn 2, so I do have to position very carefully. So I move Zarita out of reach of Claret. I was fishing for a breeze, but unfortunately I didn't get it, so I can't reach Omega or Claret. So I was fishing for breeze, but even if I got breeze, that's the 1-2, I still wouldn't have been able to reach Claret. So it's okay. I made sure that my characters are blocking, right? And him, even 1-2, 1-2, 3 would not be able to kill, and 1-2, 1-2, 3 would not be able to kill, so it's fine. Bring up the bot. Not sure why he moved back so much. And then Shafaniel comes in, give the buffs, and hey, look what I got. Look what I got. Glory of Continent, skill range and span +1. So what does that mean? It means that I can use my Heaven Sanction, which have 5 blocks for myself. So normally is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Can't do anything. However, because of this buff, I can actually have 1 extra range with skill. So I actually start from here, plus my skill range, the span becomes 6 instead of 5. So it's actually, right, +1. So it's starting from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I was using it from here, but oh, let's see what happens. I still can't reach any of his team, and I gotta make sure I stay out of Claret's way, right? So Gospel here. He continued to buff. He didn't get a 10-year buff like Breeze or anything, which is perfect. I made sure I use my skill, so now I'm 2 range. So what that means, because earlier when we counted it was here, right? But now I can actually move Shafani 1 up and not have to worry about Claret. I wasn't worried about Omega just for the fact that he has 494 skill. So what? I have 215. 215 times 3, that's 600 plus. There's no way he's gonna get 600. So he can't snipe me. And with Shrine Maiden, there's nothing he can do. So yeah, Shelfie VIP on this one. Still fishing for Breeze with Zarita. Didn't get it. He continued to buff, but I was saying, look at that range. Look at that range. Oh my goodness. That's just brutal. I'm here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now his Omega is damaged, but most importantly, his bandits are damaged. So that guarantees that whatever he do, he will not be able to kill me. Especially with he can't triple my skill and with Shrine Minions. I have nothing to fear. I don't have to worry about Claret because of Landis is protecting. So yeah. I knew exactly what he was gonna do. I can see it. And here he comes. Omega Law against Shafanio, and with the puny 406 defense, no matter. Zerita kills off Omega just as what she really need to do. I know I was no longer in protective range, and most likely Yusuke is gonna one-shot me, but since it doesn't really matter because now I have a tank with 2 healers with Shafanio unlimited AoEs. Yeah, Yusraf ain't gonna do nothing to me. Claret can't kill me, so yeah, let's just watch the rest of the game. So Zerita dies as expected. I continue to make sure my team is protected. He brings in his ultimate construct. Always a pain. Trying to do some damage, but he dies, and not enough damage to kill off my Shafanio. So if my Shafi lives, then GG. 3 range, always welcome. Always welcome. Biggest, like one of the happiest investment I made for Rachel. I did lose Rachel here, and the reason why I lost Rachel here is, let's see why. I lost my 2-range guard. When did I lose my 2-range guard? Let's go back. It must have been because of this. Takes attack for friendly unit for 2 blocks. After I killed them, it actually removed it. So yeah, I wasn't even aware of that. But anyways, it's still a good trade because Yusuke is way scarier than Claret to me at this moment. So trading that, plus I also get to heal myself, was definitely worth it. So down goes Rachel. I'm just gonna AoE to death. I don't have to do it in one turn, but I will do it nice and slow. That's how Shafinia likes it. So I have a healer, an AoE, and a tank. You have no heals, right? And I have Shrine Maiden full life, so I wasn't worried about Landis. So making sure the threat is sticking out. Yep, Landis is dead, no healer. With the Demon, Gizaroff is against, yeah, there's not much he can do. So Tenkan, even with the ultimate, even if you try to get another ultimate construct, it doesn't, yeah, it didn't really matter to me. So I just take my time. I have a tank, I have AoE, I have a tank, and yeah, I have the 3 elements. So there's absolutely no reason for me to rush. Take my time, make sure that slowly works toward them. Protect my characters. Yeah, I mean, against a demon character, the Holy is just so strong. Here comes Ultimate Construct. Do a little damage. Is that a 6-star? Let me just check. No, increased by 65 stars. So, yeah, I'm not gonna have to worry too much. Just not enough damage. So, very interesting game by how it played out. It didn't go as originally planned of using Zerita to snipe, but I was definitely able to take advantage of Shafenio and her quirks for being able to attack so far away, and the class advantage have completely helped at the very end. But other than that, it was yeah, it was a fun game. So that was the third game that I talked about. So just kind of recap, I do have a couple more games that I would like to share, but I'll probably do that in another video, so kind of keep this short. But in review, in some of the games that I won, I tried to outsmart my opponent as much as possible. Other opponents I face are very strong. My mediocre enchants doesn't help with that, and that's why I normally don't try to do a single target box anymore and go with more creative or AoE or debuff route. But I was very clear on my win condition as well as my lose conditions, and took extra step to check buffs, double check debuffs on both my characters and their characters, and that has helped tremendously with some of those wins. Oh, and I also want to give a thanks to my guild leader Genki, because he gave me a really good advice. He said, when you're playing the games, what has helped him is that after he play a game, he'll just take a little short break, whether use a restroom, get something to drink, walk around the room for a couple minutes, just to sort of refocus, whether you win or not, to just calm yourself down, right? Because a lot of times when you have a win, you're very excited, and you feel like you're the top of the world. But it's not always the case, and if you go in with rushing and thinking you're gonna win just because, might not be the help. So resetting those expectations, going in every single game with a clear mind has definitely helped me. So thank you, Genki, for that advice, and I have been using that ever since you gave me that. Appreciate it. So other than that, I hope you folks have enjoyed the matches today, and I would love to hear from you, because I don't see any comments, and I didn't really expect any, but I would definitely appreciate if you like to share your thoughts, whether you like the games, you don't like the games. Share your thoughts on my view on how to win the games or how to lose the games. But yes, I would love to hear your thoughts, and please post in the comments below. Take care and aloha.